It's the Sittin Sportside podcast, exclusively on 1045theteam.com.
I like it.
You like everything, Mike.
No, not
Nice
really.
vibes
But
going.
welcome into the Sittin Sportside podcast. Take 3 of the night, round 3, as you
Round
should
3.
say.
And Mike with the intro. I love it.
I like it. About time. It's Mike James here with you alongside Eric Hanman and Taylor Lattimore. And on the phone, we have the one and only, the legend himself from Feuz Nation, Mr. Alex Feuz. Alex, how are you, sir?
Good. Thank you guys for having me on your podcast. And I'm no legend, but you guys are the real legends over there.
Well, you're the one
I
that gets
appreciate
all the
that.
famous
Wow.
interviews, not us, you know.
No.
Yeah, well, actually, take us through that a little bit. You still doing your Feuz Nation, and who's the coolest guest you've had in recently?
Well, of course I'm still doing it. I just actually interviewed Jim Murray from 98.5 The Sports Hub
Cool.
here in around Boston. He's on with Felger and Maz every weekday. So that was today, but probably my coolest interview to date was the legendary John Sterling. He was the reason why I got into this business, and he's the reason why I started my show. So that's really, he's a voice of the New York Yankees, though, and he hasn't missed a game since 1988. So I think just saying that himself, not missing a single Yankee game since 1988 is something special.
All right, well, we're going to talk about the Yankees with you, Alex, and you brought up John Sterling, so I thought this was perfect to play for you to introduce us to how we may feel as Yankee fans.
Oh, here we
The
go.
sun will come out. Tanaka. Bet your bottom dollar with Tanaka.
Oh, I'm not sure you
It's singing.
Did you hear
Oh,
that?
I love
All right, good. Yeah, so the sun will come out, Tanaka. So we're sitting here waiting for the shoes to drop finally in this offseason. We're thinking, as Yankee fans, the spoiled Yankee fans, that of course we are, the names come up, the Bryce Harpers, the Manny Machados, but I don't know. I don't know what I personally want as a Yankee fan. I'm kind of more down to earth. I'm not sure we need to do anything in terms of offense. It's all about pitching. Where do you stand, and who do you think the Yankees should go after this offseason?
Look, I'm going to take a very cold take. I want the Yankees to sign Manny Machado. I think Manny Machado could provide something the Yankee team doesn't have right now, a contact hitter. So I think just adding Manny Machado to this Yankee team, something that, when they traded away Starlin Castro to get Giancarlo Stanton, Castro was kind of that contact hitter to really provide, move the Yankee lineup per se around. And when they got rid of Castro, and Didi's, yeah, sure, he's a contact hitter, but Didi Gregorius is down with Tommy John injury, and he might come back mid-season. And it's going to be tough for him to come out from Tommy John and really provide what he did this past season. So I think Manny Machado going to New York would be something huge. And I think, yes, everyone talks about his, ethics and, he doesn't hustle or anything. But I think maybe even being with the Yankees, a team that he's always wanted to play on, might change that mentality.
You gave us some breaking news. I just saw it again on your Facebook. Gary Sanchez is down with shoulder surgery now all of a sudden?
Yeah, so Gary Sanchez just had surgery done on his left shoulder, and he's going to be out it's only going to be a 3-month recovery, so Yankee fans don't really have to worry about Gary Sanchez being an issue for their starting opening day roster. I know a lot of Yankee fans, really, Gary Sanchez never got going, per se, this season. He struggled. He didn't hit above 200. He only hit, I believe, around 15 home runs, somewhere around that era. And if you're a Yankee fan, you were hoping to have more production out of Gary Sanchez, because coming into the season, you thought, okay, look, we have Giancarlo Stanton, who's the National League MVP, the most valuable player. Then you have Aaron Judge with the Rookie of the Year coming off his rookie season. And you have Gary Sanchez, one of the other great contact power hitters. So Gary Sanchez had a very disappointing season, and as well as Greg Bird. So I think when you look at that, you hope that Sanchez can come out next season, change his style, or maybe just, play better. I mean, let's be honest here. If you're a Yankee fan or if you're the Yankees, you're hoping Gary Sanchez can play better.
Yeah, you kind of just named the reasons. You said that you wanted Manny Machado because you needed a contact hitter. Those 3 guys you just mentioned right there all need to make contact with the ball a lot better. The thing that I said I wanted, though, I wanted pitching. And you're our guest. I'm going to let you answer first, and then we're going to have a roundtable discussion about it. There's 4 pitchers out there right now. The one that they still have right now is J. Happ. They just brought back CeCe, by the way, in case anyone listening to this doesn't know that. 1 year, $8 million. But J. Happ, Cashman is interested in bringing back. There's 3 other lefties out there that I come to mind for me right now. Patrick Corbin, Hyun-Jin Ryu, and Dallas Keuchel. Those are all 4 guys that the Yankees probably have some kind of interest in. Does any of those stand out to you, Alex, or you want them to go after a different pitcher? Because there's like Charlie Morton, I believe, is out there. He's a righty, and there's probably a couple others. But we need to get a new pitcher, or I say we as the Yankees. The Yankees need it to improve their pitching. Where do you think they should go for that?
Look, Patrick Corbin's a guy Yankee fans have been talking about for many years, and it's funny because every single free agent you can name out there, you can even throw the Yankees' name into anyone. And it's funny as a Yankee fan because, if you're, I don't know, a Minnesota Twins fan, you never hear, the Twins are going to sign Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, or any other free agent out there. So as a Yankee fan, we're kind of spoiled with Yankees are kind of involved in any free agent. I mean, if David Ortiz came back out of retirement, the Yankees would most likely be rumored to sign David Ortiz. But getting back to the point here about the starting pitchers, yes, the Yankees need. I think if they had Nathan Eovaldi and Steve Pearce, they would have been playing the World Series and maybe in one. So I think looking at you obviously want a top of the line starting pitcher in that rotation, but you also want guys to provide. Just like maybe even try to get a Nathan Eovaldi back. I know some people were talking about him as a possibility, and maybe even Steve Pearce. Look, Brian Cashman said the other day, we're not really sure about Luke Voigt. Was that not a fraud September, but is he going to be able to provide what he did in September all season? Look, we thought about that same thing about Greg Bird in the offseason. We thought for sure Greg Bird was going to be a lockdown option at first base for the Yankees, and he wasn't. Mm-hmm. So that just is the number one issue. So getting back to your point, I think Patrick Corbin is a perfect spot for New York, but it goes back into the conversation. He never really had that main opportunity, a large market team. He never played for that. So I think you go back, look at Sonny Gray. Could it be a fantastic pitcher anywhere else besides New York or Boston, in my opinion? Or maybe even L.A. So I'm a little nervous about bringing Patrick Corbin in because I thought it was a great move by Brian Cashman to get Sonny Gray in, and it didn't happen. So I think you have to weigh the options, and maybe even Dallas Keuchel would be your best option because he's played in New York. He beat the Yankees back in 2015 in the wild card game. So just looking at that, I think the safe bet would have to be Dallas Keuchel, but Patrick Corbin would be a nice addition for the Yankees as well.
Taylor, where do you lay on this? I know we've talked about pitchers in the past. Kershaw is on that list, but obviously that's not going to happen. He just signed for a crap ton of money. Ridiculous to stay in L.A. Where do you stand on the pitchers yourself, Taylor?
I like keeping Hap. I like CC coming back. I tend to agree with Alex. I think Corbin or what was the other one you said?
Eovaldi? Was that?
No, that you.
That I said. Yeah. There's Keuchel and Hyun-Jin Ryu.
Keuchel.
Okay.
I think either one of those. I mean, if they play like they've played for their past teams for the Yankees, then it's perfect. But
personally, I love Keuchel. Personally,
I think
that'd
the question
be some kind
is
of
just
turnaround, right?
Yeah.
People coming to the Yankees, they sometimes, I don't know if it's the pressure, the lights, or the just the franchise in general, but sometimes they underachieve. Like Giancarlo, like I don't know what it is about playing for the Yankees.
Yeah, but there was also a league
switch
switch too, though.
Well, yeah,
league switch.
Yeah.
I think underachieving
was
going to happen regardless. Because if you're really expecting him to come in and hit as many home runs as he did in Miami,
not just him, but like
Sanchez.
No. Sonny Gray.
Sonny Gray. I was going to say him, but
yeah.
we kind of tend not to mention him on 1045theteam.com. So
yeah,
because he's a sore topic.
But yeah, like the same issue.
But yeah,
so,
no, you're right.
So either
he pitched well his first year. This year was just abysmal, and he can't pitch in New York anymore. I mean, this is kind of how it is. So that's another thing too. The Yankees have to probably look to trading him. I don't know what they'll be able to get.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know who's gonna be the best one to play in New York. Like who's gonna do well.
All right, Mike.
All right. So the rumor has it I'm hearing Paul Goldschmidt's on the trading block.
No way.
Yeah. Alex, what are you hearing?
Yankees?
Is there a chance he's coming to New York? That's what I'm hearing a rumor.
Well, and it's funny you bring up Paul Goldschmidt. He's probably one of the most underrated first basemen of all time. And it's kind of almost going back to the whole conversation. Mike Trout is the greatest baseball player in this lifetime. And when you look at the teams they play for, look, Mike Trout is if he could go to everyone said, a few months ago, well, Mike Trout, no one hears of him. And it does. Plays for the Angels, and the Angels really haven't had that huge year when they make the playoffs and they're in that hunt. And I think Paul Goldschmidt kind of falls back into that category. It's unfortunate that people don't really talk about Paul Goldschmidt, so it would be nice for him to come to New York, but maybe even him to go to the Mets. I think especially with the Mets getting the new GM in town, and maybe they got to do something to that lineup. I know he said on the Mike Francesa show last week, now look, we can build on the starting lineup. I disagree with his statement there because, look, you can't. Their lineup their starting rotations. I could see you could build on that, but really your starting lineup, no, it needs a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Goldschmidt is that he is very underrated. I agree. I think he probably could have won in 2013. I just don't know if the Diamondbacks are willing to just blow things up. I know Pollock is a free agent, but if you get rid of Goldschmidt, then you're blowing everything up. You're letting Pollock walk, probably hoping that he signs elsewhere and get that round pick from the qualifying offer. I believe he was one that got one, and that means, I guess if they're let Corbin go, they're just going to blow things up in Arizona. I wonder if they're willing to do that. And if you look at a team like Cincinnati, you look at other teams that have kind of blown things up, but in Atlanta, they kept their first baseman. They kept Freddie Freeman. The Reds have kept Joey Votto. I don't know if that has to do with they just didn't think they would get enough for him or what or not, but it's worked out for the Braves to hold on to Freddie Freeman when they were giving everything up, and now look where they are right now. I'm not saying the Reds are going to turn it around this year, but Votto will still be on that team. He's a little bit older than, say, Paul Goldschmidt, but I don't know. I think that's kind of a pipe dream for the Yankees. Now, the Mets, on the other hand, I think you got Peter Alonso as that first baseman that they want to use at first base. That could be the barrier of why they don't trade for Goldschmidt, but I think for the Yankees, definitely Goldschmidt's out of the question, at least for me. I mean, I guess nothing's out of the question for the Yankees, right?
Right, and it goes back to my point early in the show. You can throw out any single name, and you could put the Yankees in the same conversation. It's incredible, and like I said, we're spoiled as Yankee fans.
Mike, you need to get some opinions from you. You need to get some hot takes.
I read something crazy today.
Okay.
And there's no shot it's ever going to happen, but I saw this on Facebook, and it actually made me laugh, and I hope this makes you laugh. Alex, I don't know if you heard this inkling too, but there's a rumor that I saw that somebody said the Yankees should not go for Machado, and instead of going for Machado, go get Xander Bogaerts from the Red Sox. I was like, what? I was like, that's never going to happen.
That is funny because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing I've ever heard. What do you think, Alex? Is that nuts or what?
Well, I think maybe the Red Sox haven't learned after Babe Ruth.
Guess what? 1918.
I'm not comparing Xander Bogaerts to Babe Ruth, but I would say that whoever said that is probably insane, and I want whatever they're on with that take because look, let's be honest here. The Red Sox are never going to do anything with the Yankees. Even the Mets wouldn't even do anything with the Yankees trade wise. So I think if the Yankees would ever get Xander Bogaerts, it would be in the free agency whenever he's a free agent, and there's really no need for them to get Xander Bogaerts, especially knowing, okay, look, Didi's going to be back. We can put Torres there. Let's just focus on starting pitching. That's a reality that the Yankees have to look at. And if they can get Machado, great. If they can get Harper, great. If they can get both of them, I think that's less likely, especially now Buster only saying that Bryce Harper is not going to go to the Yankees at all costs. I think it's foolish for him to announce that now. Anything can happen. So we'll just wait it out, but I think that's just insane.
Do we all?
Insane.
Yeah, I think it's insane too. Do we all think though that the Yankees are willing to go above the luxury tax? Like, this was the first year that they didn't go over it, and they still have a lot of young kids that they're still going to be paying very low salaries. Judge, Sanchez, Torres, Andujar. I think he's willing to go out and pay this massive contract to get. I mean, the Red Sox had some of the biggest ones, right? And they just won the World Series.
Here's
are
what
the
I
Yankees
think,
going to buy back into that, or is Cashman still going to stay where he is?
Here's my thinking on that, though. This is how we're going to know if the Steinbrenner's really want to win and they really care what Yankee fans want. If they really, truly care what the Yankee fans want, Hal will open up his checkbook.
Well, like Alex just said, they'd sign every single player in the history of the league.
Yeah, but still.
If the Yankees, that's what Yankee fans want. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think the majority of Yankee fans have any concept of what money is, and they just want everything to be thrown.
Yeah, because
at
they know
everyone.
they have it. So
Exactly.
it's like, if we have it, spend it. I mean, it's
and they can't see it. It's abstract to them. So yeah, just throw everything at everyone.
yeah, and
who can blame them, right?
I mean,
It's not my money.
I fall privy to it. At
I
certain
want them
times,
to win.
Too. Yeah,
like
exactly.
That above all costs. I don't care what it takes. Why would I care what I pay? I don't pay anything.
I can't.
A lot of Yankee
go
fans
for it.
think this is like monopoly money,
Yeah,
and it's just like
exactly.
we can go out and buy all this property, and if it wins us a championship, great, and if it doesn't, well, Brian Cashman sucks. And I think that's just it goes back to look, Yankee fans are spoiled. I'm a Yankee fan. I'm spoiled. Yes, I know. I hear the whole argument. But how many Yankee World Series happened in your lifetime? I was born in 2000, so I say, well, 2. Then they're like, well, can you remember both of them? Because the first was 2000, and the second was in 2009. And I'm like, no. But, look, let's go back to it, and let's break it down and look at the numbers. But, no, I think realistically you're not going to be able to sign everyone. But I think getting back to your main question is I think the Yankees are willing to go over the luxury tax. I think this is their main reason why they went under is to go over to spend guys to get these top guys into New York to hopefully win a World Series.
Yeah, like the Yankees are kind of like the baseball's version of white privilege. Yankee fans. Anyway, the last thing I want to talk about with the Yankees.
Sorry, Alex, you won't understand that joke.
Yeah, that's been a staple of the night. We've gone off the rails a little bit. But last thing I want to talk about with the Yankees, this is my last thing I want to bring up. We're in the midst of, when this podcast airs, we'll at least have a few days, hopefully, before it actually comes out. But we know the finalists for the American League Rookie of the Year. 2 of the Yankees in it, Miguel Andujar and Gleyber Torres, and then the other one, Shohei Ohtani, who only had 10 starts, but also obviously had 300 ABs or a little bit more than that. He seems to be the favorite. I think Ohtani, a big reason why people are saying Ohtani's the favorite is because, the writers love the guy because who else does what he did, right? Bat 350 ABs and also pitch 10 games. But also, too, the Yankees have 2 guys in there, and that there's this thought of kind of what the Red Sox and they thought was that Martinez and Betts might split the vote. That's yet to be seen, but only Betts was in the final 3 for AL MVP. Will Torres and Andujar split the vote for Rookie of the Year? Let's not necessarily predict that, but let's talk about all 4 of us who we think deserves it out of those 3, Torres, Andujar, and Shohei Ohtani.
Can we have a dead heat?
Yeah.
Then it's Torres and Andujar. Dead heat. I'm not picking one over the other, and I'm not picking Ohtani. That's my choice.
Interesting.
That's his choice, and he can make it. I'll go with Andujar. I like Gleyber a lot, but I feel like there were certain times, certain games, certain opportunities where Andujar stepped up and Torres didn't.
Yeah, I gotta go with Andujar. He did it for most of the year. Never went down really with injuries.
No.
The glove is one thing but I don't necessarily take that totally into consideration. He had 600 ABs. I think the argument for Shohei is definitely there, and I understand it, but I can't necessarily wrap my head around the tangible of what that 10 starts means compared to the 300 more ABs and the 20 more doubles. I guess only 5 more home runs from Andujar because Shohei hit 22 and 300. Like, that's pretty darn good, but he also had 30 more RBIs, Andujar did. What does those 10 starts and that 3.3 ERA and the 60 strikeouts in the 50 innings, where does that push it? There's no precedent for us, at least in the modern times, of where that puts Ohtani compared to the batting numbers. Mm-hmm. But for me, I think because playoffs have to come into consideration somewhere, he's such a big part of the Yankees making the playoffs and not falling off when Judge went down that I personally give it to Andujar, but of course I have the Yankee bias. Alex, where do you stand on this?
I think it obviously lies right back into, I think Andujar should be the Rookie of the Year, but I can see the argument as to Ohtani. Look, the last time a pitcher and hitter was this successful was Babe Ruth. And when you look at that, especially coming to America this season in this rookie year, just being able, and it's funny because the day he announced that he needed Tommy John surgery, he hit 2 home runs. I think they're both talented players, but I think Andujar, you look at a complete year, and Andujar was really that contact hitter the Yankees looked towards. It's like it would have been a completely different season if Andujar wasn't on this Yankee team, and I think it shouldn't be a conversation, and I think I can see both sides of this, but it also has to be, look, how much did the rookie help your team get to the playoffs? And I think playoffs don't come into a factor in this role, but I think it should be a bit of a conversation factor if the team got to the playoffs. And I think Andujar is one of the reasons why the Yankees got to the playoffs, winning home field on the wild card and staying close. Similar close to the Red Sox in the division for most of the season.
I go back to 2016 when Gary Sanchez lost to Mike Fulmer. I wonder if you put the 10 starts that Ohtani had, the 4-2 record, the ERA and all that, and gave that to Gary Sanchez, would Gary Sanchez have won? That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I think that's where I feel like we're at right now. I think that the offensive numbers get him so close, and that pitching, does it put him over even or under. And I personally think that the writers are going to be so enamored with Ohtani that they're gonna vote for Ohtani.
I mean, there's no doubt
fact.
it's impressive. You know what I mean? It's impressive. But I think overall, I think Andujar or Torres deserves
Let's be
it.
honest, though. The best 2 rookies are both in the National League from this season.
Oh, yeah.
Acuna and Soto.
Oh, yeah. And it should be Soto in the National League, if you ask me. That's just me.
I think it's good. That's another dead heat. I think that
It's too close. It's
Acuna's
close to
gonna win,
call.
though. I think Acuna's going to win. And I kind of agree with you that Soto kind of had the bigger, I don't know about the bigger impact because Acuna had 5 straight games where he hit a home run.
Yeah, well, Soto also hit a home run before he actually even made his major league debut, so that's in and of itself impressive.
He should. That's insane. All right, one last question for you, Alex. We know you're a local kid, and we talked a little bit before we just threw on actually put on the mics that you were sitting on the opposite side watching Joseph Girard play against your teams. Just give me your quick thought on Joseph Girard III, and you guys made it a random appearance, and you were able to ask him about how he felt with him going to Syracuse. What do you think about Joseph Girard III and his future going into college now?
Well, it's funny because I'm pretty close with Joe personally. So I first interviewed him when I was a freshman in high school, and when he was a freshman and I was a sophomore. So I've been talking with him on and off for about 3 years now. So him and I are pretty close. And, when I heard the news that he had all these, every single day in like another college was offering him, to come to the college. And once Syracuse offered him, to come to Syracuse to play basketball, I'm like, okay, well, now it's tough because now it goes back into the factor. Look, Syracuse is about 2 hours away from home. He has a big New York following, so I thought for sure he was going to pick Syracuse. I also thought maybe he would go to Duke and play with Coach K, but I think Syracuse was the best option for him, and I think it would really piss off a lot of New York fans and his following because, okay, look, his whole career is based in New York. So I think knowing that, you can look at it that way. So I think going to Syracuse was the best option for him, and I think he's going to get playing time there too, which I don't think maybe Duke would have been able to offer him that much. So I think maybe even look at it like this way. Look how much Kevin Huerter has been able to provide to the Atlanta Hawks. Look at that maybe from a college level standpoint. Let's see how much Joe Girard III can offer to Syracuse as a freshman on a college level team. I think that's what Syracuse is kind of looking for with Joe Girard. I mean, he's averaging 50 points a game in high school, so obviously he's not going to be able to average 50 points a game. Maybe he will. Who knows?
You never know.
You never know. But it was always when, I know I said this to you guys before we went on, but, whenever we would, I was, of course, a Shelmont student, and we would play Glens Falls always in the playoffs. And, wow. I mean, I tweeted this about him last week. He's almost like a hybrid between Tom Brady and LeBron James just at a high school level in the 5-1-8. And look, he's been able to win as a quarterback, and he's been able to win as a basketball player in Glens Falls. And you can't really put that together much, and it's really unheard of to be such a successful quarterback and a top basketball player averaging 50 points a game. I think he gets a lot of publicity, but he deserves it. And I know everyone outside of Glens Falls is a little pushback towards it. I hear it a lot whenever I tweet about him because it's mostly my Shelmont following and just outside 5-1-8 guys, but he doesn't deserve enough credit, I think. Throughout all the media coverage that he does get, I think people are jealous. Everyone has this mindset about Tom Brady. He's the best quarterback there ever was and maybe ever will be. It just goes back to that. I mean, so I think it's jealousy. I think that's why there's a lot of pushback when he's talking about Joe Girard III, and I think that's why, look, he's the best right now. You can't beat him. So just knowing that, and he's on a great ride. I know you said it's going to be a few days until the podcast airs, but let's see how their football team does. And if, let's say, they can win another state championship, well, that's just another ring on the finger, per se, to add to the Tom Brady legacy in the 5-1-8 for Joe Girard III.
Wait, you mean Nathan Peterman's not the greatest of all time, Alex? I thought that's what you just said.
I think Joseph Girard III, as quarterback right now in high school, would do better than Nathan Peterman.
No, it was funny when I talked to a former MLB player on my show, and and I was asking him about if he would ever go back on the field, and he was like, Alex, I probably can't even strike you out now. And I'm like, well, I think you could strike me out, no problem. But it was funny.
All right, one more thing before we let you go.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
What's your thoughts on that Duke game last night? How impressive!
Mike's got to
did
bring
they-
up his
I had to
Dookies.
do it. I had to do it. My Dukies.
We
Alex.
talked about
your
it.
Dookies.
Well, it was funny. Last night I actually attended my first ever college basketball game, Providence versus Siena.
Yeah.
So my professor is the voice of the Providence Friars, so I got to meet up with him at the game last night. But getting back to your question, Duke, look, they're fantastic. It's just, I couldn't believe when I saw the score. I'm like, oh my gosh!
It was over in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think Coach K is the greatest coach of all time for college basketball, and there's really no one better than him. So, and just looking at it from a college basketball fan standpoint, I was talking with Tim Brando yesterday, one of the biggest voices of college basketball, and I asked him this, why do you love college basketball so much? And it's just the ability to add the freshness there's no other sport, in his opinion, that's so fresh and just so real than college basketball. And, of course, there's a lot of problems in college basketball, but we're not talking about that right now. We're just talking about the game itself on the court. And there's really nothing better than college basketball, and especially March Madness, because, look, you look at the NBA, I can predict, it's whatever team LeBron's playing for, the Warriors in the finals. So I think it's just the unpredictableness, geez, I can talk, for college basketball that makes it so great.
All right, Alex, thank you for joining us.
Great job, Alex.
Yeah,
Appreciate you coming on.
Next time you're in the Capital Region,
anytime.
hit us up, and we'll have to meet up and do something.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be back home
Fun
in a
fact.
few weeks, so let me know.
Fun fact, Providence head coach Ed Cooley used to be the coach of Fairfield University, which
Is your alma mater, is it not?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
look at that.
Like small world, right?
All right,
That's
Alex,
awesome.
thank you, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
All right, stay classy,
You got
Cap Region. It's been the Sittin Sportside Podcast.
That shit. That shit.